Well, hello, Power Partners. Welcome to our informational barnyard playground of Starstyle, Be the Star You Are. We're coming to the airwaves under the auspices of Be the Star You Are charity. I'm your host, Cynthia Brian, and we are on the Voice America Media station, the Empowerment Channel. The miracle moment for today, brought to you by Be the Star You Are. You can find Be the Star You Are charity at bethestarur.org, is from Pablo Picasso. When I was a kid, I drew like Michelangelo, but it took me years to learn to draw like a kid. You have to think about that one. Well, in today's show, we're going to talk about etiquette for this year. It's a kind of a new world when it comes to etiquette. Maybe you grew up with rules of etiquette, but some of those long held rules are changing. So, we're going to talk about what's correct and maybe what blunder that you could make when it comes to etiquette. And then in segment 2, continuing on our washing cycle, we're going to be discussing dishwashers. What do you put in a dishwasher? And moreover, what does not go in a dishwasher? This is something from Consumer Reports, which I really like reading. And they're going to give some information on how to clean everything and maintain your appliances at the same time. I think that sounds like a good one. Well, I don't know if you know the magazine Southern Living. I'm a really big fan. I really love to read and to see all these beautiful architectural elements and the gardens that are in the South. It is really, really interesting. But when I think of Southerners, I also think of people who are very much into etiquette. So now that 2025 is behind us and we're going to declutter for 2026, we I wanted to get into what is etiquette and what do etiquette experts share that are different maybe than the old fashioned rules, because etiquette has changed more in the last decade than it did 50 years before it. We've kind of moved from a rule book uh, kind of etiquette that our grandmothers used to something that is more flexible and more connection driven. So, this is what we're going to talk about for the year ahead. So, one thing that is very different is people really are craving you to be real and authentic. I talk about authenticity a lot. And that comes with accepting flaws in others and in ourselves. When we act too formal in everyday relationships, it's actually a turnoff. And now with AI and our social media feeds that are full of all these really edited, polished photos and videos, people are looking for communities kind of to anchor themselves in reality and to feel grounded and seen and appreciated for our humanness. So you share your story, you say hello, you mean it, and then actually listen when you ask someone how they're doing. So when you ask somebody how you doing today, it really mean what you say. Ask them and mean it, because having etiquette actually builds connection, and that will always outlast etiquette that is trying to be perfect, because there is no perfection. Now, cell phones are kind of everywhere, and it's probably a good idea not to have them at the dinner table. Be it you could have your cell phone in a purse or a pocket nearby. That's understandable when you're waiting for an important call. But part of etiquette these days would be to turn your phone on mute, or the buzzer, or to turn it off completely. Now, of course, a smartwatch, if you have that, can alert you that a call is coming in. But if you just keep things on the vibrate mode and hold off on glancing down every few seconds, you're going to have a better connection and a better conversation with the person that you're with. So, one of the new rules of etiquette really is don't be distracted by your phone. When you are with others or engaged in a meeting, put your phone away unless your phone is part of the meeting. Now, for years, especially for women, being polite has always been taught as kind of being quiet, but suppressing our boundaries isn't gracious or sustainable. It's actually exhausting and it's not authentic. So simply focus on kindness and open communication whenever you're speaking with anybody, and just deliver your own personal warmth. Thank someone for thinking of you, but declining an invitation that will be more respectful to the invitee and yourself than resenting the commitment later. There are people pleasing people, and then there are boundaries. So, what does that actually mean in reality? It means that you don't have to feel like you have to accept every invitation. If you don't want to go somewhere, or you really don't want to have a lunch with this person, just say thank you very much for the invitation, but I have other plans, or something like that. You don't have to always say yes. Now, believing that a host should never ask for help. I'm kind of stuck in that old etiquette. When I host a dinner party, I really like other people to really have a good time, and I don't ask for help. But the younger generation, I think, are doing it better. And by doing it all yourself, it's not no longer a prerequisite for hosting. These days, you can have friends, family, everyone's pretty much happy that you're just opening your home to them, and they're eager to help make the evening as stress-free as possible. So you could have somebody bring a special dish, or maybe help clear the table, or maybe serving coffee or dessert. That doesn't make you a bad host. It just allows you to be more gracious and to accept help from others, including friends and family in your gathering. And you can be serving them some of their special dishes, and it does take some pressure off yourself. That is still one that I am having to work on, but for you out there, just know, I when I'm making a meal, I always do everything from scratch. Now, these days there are a lot of food companies, delivery companies, prepackaged. So whatever just makes it easy so that you can gather and have a game together, or watch a movie together, or review a book, or whatever it is. Don't try to make things perfect. Just ask for help and let everybody pitch in. It'll make everybody feel good. Now, tipping. You don't want to go overboard with the old-fashioned tipping practices. It's really nice to tip, but it used to be that if you had someone that, let's just say that, I don't know, somebody, your hairstylist, you would double whatever your budget was to give them, a gift at Christmas or something. But that it's no longer the way that you have to do things. Tip according to the service you receive and what you can afford. Now, stressing about which bread plate is yours, like when you sit at the table, my husband always goes to my bread plate because he never learned how tables are set. That was one of the things that was drilled into us when I was a 4-H person, and one of my projects was cooking project. So we had to learn to make place settings. So just think of it this way. If you are at some kind of a formal dinner and there's just lots of tableware and you don't know which fork to pick up or whatever, you always start from the outside and move in. So that the fork on the outside, the spoon on the out, whatever, and you just, for every course that's served, you would do it that way. And of course, don't even worry about it if you're not doing it right. Modern table manners are about the atmosphere. They're not about anxiety or judging who does what or does what wrong. I mean, another thing used to be is that you never ever put your elbows on the table. Well, sometimes you're just in a conversation over a cup of coffee and you really want to be listening, and putting your elbow on the table might just work. So just remember that the same rules don't apply in every culture, every age group, or every online space. So much of etiquette has become outdated the moment it stopped being adaptable. So just be curious about others, ask questions, replace memorizing rules with the art of learning, and just learn to read the room. So, flexibility, curiosity, and patience are actually what are considered the new sophistication. And the one thing that I will say that about thank you notes is if you go to someone's house or someone does something for you, it is important that you spend some time doing a thank you note. It can be by email, it can be by text, but if it's really something special and over the top, consider writing a handmade or a handwritten thank you note. That's the way I was brought up. I taught my kids, my son doesn't do it, but my daughter does. She always writes thank you notes by hand. But people appreciate those because no, not many people do it anymore. So if you want to make an impression, write notes in your handwriting. Well, that's that for the first segment. I'm Cynthia Brian. You're listening to Star Style, Be the Star You Are. We're going to talk about dishwashers. Boy, they were a game changer when they came into being. I really love mine. So I want to keep it healthy and working. So I'll tell you how. So stay with me. When you are in a meeting or on the phone with a potential client and you hear a put off like, could you call me another time or let me get back to you or let me think about it? Always ask, why do you feel that way? Why do you need to think it over? This simple technique will help you uncover a real connection and concern that the prospect did not feel inclined to share sooner. You want to determine if the prospect is merely procrastinating or honestly fearful of making a decision. You want to make them feel comfortable. Avoid spending a lot of time analyzing all the possibilities just to find out the true reasons for the delay. You can gain time in which to keep the conversation going so you can gather your thoughts. And you can always try a new tactic to help you close the deal by honest listening, by showing you care about that person. You might be able to close the sale in that way. Again, live with integrity. Remember, you're the star of your own performance. Turn your passions into profits. I'm Cynthia Brian with another business bite from Starstyle. For more information, visit cynthiabrian.com. That's Brian with an I. Well, we are back. You're listening to Star Style, Be the Star You Are, coming to you on Voice America Media. This is the Empowerment Channel. And in this segment is maybe not so imaginative as other segments that I do, but I've been doing some shows about, cleanliness and decluttering and washing machines and other things. And this one is going to be about dishwashers. I love to read consumer reports. I find that whenever I need to buy something, they have really good recommendations because for years they have put in a lot of work into testing so many different things. So you want to, when you're like, well, my dishwasher is about 10 years old now, but it's a good one and it really works well. So it came to my attention that we need to talk about what can go in the dishwasher and what shouldn't go into the dishwasher. Now, fortunately, not everyone is loading items that were once in close proximity to dirt or feces into appliances designed to clean the plates. So, like, people have asked if they could put their cat litter boxes in there. That doesn't sound very cleanliness, does it? But there are plenty of unorthodox items that keep coming up in responses to consumer reports when they put out questions to readers like, should you wash your baseball cap in the dishwasher? Or, as far-fetched as it might sound, can you cook salmon in your dishwasher instead of over your oven? Now, I have no idea. I wouldn't think anybody would say that, but that was actually part of the Consumer Reports question. So here's some things to know. If you've ever considered using your dishwasher for any purpose other than washing dishes, this segment is really for you because there's some practical guidelines on what you should and should not put in this appliance. And we're going to just address some of the bigger ones. And first starting off, let's start with that baseball cap. This is without a doubt the non-dishware from people that have confessed to washing them in their dishwasher the most. A lot of people have placed the cap in a bat washing cage to hold its shape before putting it in the dishwasher and then let it dry. And they think that it turns out great and gets the stains out. But should you do it? Consumer Reports says no. While many reported success with the technique, there were those that had darker baseball caps that faded after they were washed, and dishwasher manufacturers caution against it because there is high heat from the dishwasher, and there are also bleach-based dishwasher detergents that could remove the color of your baseball cap and potentially damage it. So let's give this one a no. What about other clothing and shoes? That's also a no. I mean, I wouldn't think you could do that. Put your clothing in the wash machine, maybe hand wash your shoes. Dishwashers are not for washing clothes and shoes. They're not a washing machine. And the detergents, again, are not designed to wash clothes, and it's not going to get them clean. But if you have smelly shoes, for example, uh, don't put them in the freezer. Don't use air fresheners because they don't work. Your best bet is really just to hand wash them with a detergent with some warm water and allow them to dry completely. Just put them outside in sunshine. And if you're worried about potentially damaging your shoes, just try soaking them in a non-chlorine type bleach solution that's not too strong and then rinsing them. I just always scrub off the bottoms of my shoes. That seems easier. I want to get back to that fish, that fish idea. I can't believe that somebody actually wanted to cook their fish in a dishwasher. That makes no sense to me. But what does Consumer Reports say? Absolutely not. Heck no. The results are twofold because you could contaminate your dishwasher with uncooked food, and the food you're cooking could become contaminated by whatever was in your dishwasher, like leftover food scraps, detergent, or some of those rinser aids. Now, what about keyboards? The dishwasher is apparently an option for people who have gunky keyboards that they're close to replacing. And a lot of people reported that they did it. But should you? The answer again is no. The high temperatures from the dishwasher could damage your keyboard's plastic, and the water and detergent will almost certainly destroy the electronics. So instead of popping your keyboard in a dishwasher, just unplug it, turn it upside down, give it a good shake, and then you can also use a can of compressed air to blow out any dirt or grime that might be stuck inside the keyboard. And if you really have a stubborn stain, wipe the keyboard with a microfiber cloth. Dip it in a 50-50 mixture of water and alcohol, but never ever spray any liquid directly on your keyboard, because if it seeps inside, it is going to hurt the internal components. Something else that is asked a lot to Consumer Reports about things to put in the dishwasher are toothbrushes and combs. Well, first of all, with the toothbrush, if a toothbrush is, you've used it a couple of weeks, just toss it. Get a new toothbrush. You don't want to put it in there. Same reason, contamination. Or use the toothbrush to clean your grout or something, but definitely do not just try to wash your toothbrush. When it comes to combs, that wouldn't be a good idea either. So combs and hairbrushes and all of that stuff, I mean, even if they're plastic, I mean, they probably could be dishwasher safe, but why do you want to mix your hair products with your kitchen products? That makes no sense. Just do them by hand, or if they are plastic and you can soak them, just soak them, in a bowl of water with some detergent, or just rinse them. Toys, and this is both kids and pet toys. People reported putting their plastic toys and dog toys in a dishwasher because they thought it worked so well. In general, Consumer Reports says it's probably fine if the toy is made of a thicker plastic or rubber. It might be safe to wash on the top rack of your dishwasher, but for safety, you don't ever want to put any toy that has an electrical component or battery in it. So be careful of that. Now, filters from your home appliances, they get gross if you never clean them. And make sure that you do clean the filter in your dishwasher, which is at the bottom of your dishwasher. If you break a glass or a label comes off of a jar, you're going to find it down there. And so um, make sure that you clean that filter at least once a month. The same thing with filters of your stove, your exhaust. A lot of people tried washing their filters of their furnace or air conditioner, but that's a definite no. You should never wash filters from an exhaust fan or purifier or an air conditioner in a dishwasher because not all filters are reusable or washable. And they can be very delicate, and you'll probably damage them, and you could damage your dishwasher as well. So to be safe, always just follow the manufacturer's instructions for best cleaning methods for anything that you have. Now, for every success story that readers sent in, there were also plenty of instances when the results were less than favorable. So, if you want to be safe, wash only dishware and cooking and eating utensils in a dishwasher. That makes sense to me. As a general rule, it's best to consult the user guide or your care manual on your dishwasher regarding what you can put in it because you don't want to damage your dishwasher and you don't want to damage any articles that you're putting in there. Just check the labels of items you're considering putting into the dishwasher to make sure they're dishwasher safe. A lot of plastics are not. A lot of them will melt. And again, if they melt, they'll damage your dishwasher. So the next time you start to consider washing something that's not a dish or a utensil in your dishwasher, don't forget about the risk of cross-contamination. The grime and dirt washed off of those items could cling to the inside of your appliance, and then that could end up on your dishes and the next time you put them in. And you don't want that. That would be definitely, it's not serving the purpose of a dishwasher. So wipe down your dishwasher inside and outside from time to time. And then don't forget to change that filter. And the dishwashers today have different cycles, like they have a short cycle, which usually is just the same as the longer cycle, except it is a shorter drying time. And the drying time is what uses more of the electricity. So again, read labels and you're going to be just fine. So that is the show for today. Thanks for being with me here on Starstyle, Be the Star You Are. We're with you every Wednesday from 4 to 5 p.m. and then available wherever you listen to your radio shows or podcasts. And for Express Yourself Teen Radio, it airs Sundays at 3 p.m. And again, available wherever you hear your podcasts. And that is Express Yourself Teen Radio. For more information about Starstyle Productions or to get any of my books, please visit cynthiabrian.com. To more information about Be the Star You Are charity, visit btsya.org. And until we celebrate next week, right here in my barnyard, remember that love always wins, kindness always prevails, and smiles will keep us happy. Be kind, be inclusive, tell the truth, live with integrity, embrace cultures, love unconditionally, encourage others, be generous, read, lead, succeed, communicate, collaborate, and innovate. And most of all, be your unapologetically authentic self because everyone counts. And I, Cynthia Brian, thank you for being here with me on Star Style, Be the Star You Are. And I encourage you to go out into the world and shine. Thanks again for joining me. We'll talk next week.